Somewhere in this country this morning, a man is signing his name to a paper so that he can open a business. By the time he turns the key in that door for the first time, he will have spent somewhere between $25,000 and $40,000, depending on whose counting you trust. The Census Bureau puts it nearer 25, the Small Business Administration nearer 40. And 5 years on from that morning, near enough half of the doors that opened alongside his will be shut. 49.4% by the government's own reckoning. Now here is the second number, and I would like you to hold the two of them side by side for a moment and say nothing. There was a study done out of a college over in Elizabethtown, Pennsylvania, back around 2009, and it went and counted the shops in several of our settlements. 95 out of 100 were still open at 5 years. The ones that had closed came to somewhere between 2 and 4 in every 100. I am not going to tell you why for a good while yet. Sit with the two numbers. And while you sit with them, let me tell you what a shut door actually looks like, because it does not look the way folks picture it. Folks picture the work going poor, or some bigger outfit moving in down the street and taking the trade. What actually happens is smaller and quieter than that. A man has 3 slow weeks in February. The weather is bad, a big order gets pushed off until spring, and a fellow who owed him $800 is late paying it. Nothing in that is unusual. Every trade on earth has a February. But on the 15th of the month, a number comes due, and that number does not know about the weather, and it does not know that a customer is late. It arrives in February exactly the way it arrives in October, so he covers it out of the money he had set aside for materials. The next month, he covers it out of what he was going to live on. The third month, he cannot cover it at all. And the thing that ended him was not a customer and not a competitor. It was a date on a calendar. My name is Gideon Riehl. I have worked the same ground in Lancaster County the whole of my life, and I am 65 years old this year. I am not a banker, and I have never sat in a business class. What I have got is a road. There is a lane that runs past my place, and in my lifetime, I have watched better than a dozen shops open along it. Harness, cabinets, a bakery in a converted milk house, a small engine man, 2 greenhouses, a fellow who builds gazebos, and another who does nothing all day but sharpen. Most of them are still standing. 2 are not. One man's health gave out on him at 51, and one went back to milking because he liked cows better than he liked customers. Neither of them was closed by a bank. And I have sat at those tables, so I know roughly what is in those books, because in a settlement like ours, a man's business is not much of a secret from his neighbors. 2 things are coming that matter more than the rest of it put together. The first is the honest cost of doing business this way, and I mean to lay the whole of it out before we are finished, because it is heavy. Some of it you would not want, and one part of it you could not have even if you did want it, no matter what you were willing to pay for it. The second is a single sentence that I am saving for the very end. It is the only piece of this whole arrangement that a man can carry home with him without being one of us. It fits in a pocket. Stay with me for both of those. But before another word, I owe you the truth about that 95, because it is the most attackable thing I will say to you today, and I would rather attack it myself than let somebody do it for me in the comments. It is not a fresh number. It comes out of a book by a man named Eric Westner, published in 2010, and the counting underneath it was done by a sociologist at Elizabethtown College named Donald Craybill around 2009. That is better than 15 years ago now, and so far as I have been able to learn, nobody has gone and counted it again since. And the 2 figures are not measured the same way, which I will not stand here and pretend they are. The government counts every registered business establishment in America. That study counted shops in a handful of settlements where a shop that quietly folded back into the family farm might never have been written down as a closure at all. So the comparison is a rough one, and you should hold it as a rough one. I will say only this in its defense. The distance between 95 and 50 is far too wide to be an error of counting. Now, why does not everybody already know this? There is no villain in this story, and I want to be careful right there, because plenty of people will happily sell you one. The plain reason is that nearly everything a man ever hears about starting a business is told to him by somebody who makes his living off the starting. The loan has money in it, so does the lease, and the sign, and the fit out, and the insurance, and the class that teaches a man to write the plan he takes to the fellow with the loan. There is nothing at all to be made from telling a man that the building he needs is already standing behind his house and has been paid for since his father's time. That piece of advice has no product attached to it, so nobody advertises it, and the people who could teach it are not in the teaching business. They are out in the shop. And by now you have already decided why our shops stay open, because everybody does, and it takes about 4 seconds. Hard work. The Amish work hard, and there it is, and you can go on with your day. I will tell you plainly, of all the reasons there are, that one is the last of them, not the first. I have known men who worked harder than I ever have in my life and lost every dollar they had. Work has never once saved a man from a payment he could not make, and it never will. The reason our shops stay standing is money, and more exactly, it is the way the money is arranged before the first thing is ever sold. That comes in 3 parts, and I will give them to you in order. The first part is the whole of the thing, and the other 2 only hold it up. We do not borrow. A loan among our people is for one purpose, and that purpose is ground. A farm, a piece of land, something that will still be sitting there in 80 years and can be handed to a son. There is no card in this house, and there never has been. So when a man on this road opens a shop, there is no loan behind it, and that means there is no payment in front of it. Understand that this is a different thing altogether from having a small payment, or a payment at a good rate. There is no number that has to be handed to anybody on the 15th, whether an order came in or whether it did not. My grandfather put it to me once when I was young enough to think he was only being difficult about it. He said a debt is a man you have invited to your table who eats the same whether or not you did. Take that fellow with the 3 slow weeks in February and run him through it twice. Say his payment is $1,000 a month, which is a modest one for any shop with equipment standing in it. Slow February, and he is 1,000 short. Slow March on top of that, and he is 2,000 short, and the material for the spring work has to come out of somewhere, and it comes out of the same thin place. By April, the arithmetic has closed him, and he was never once bad at his trade, not for a single day of it. Now put the same February in front of the harness man up my lane. He has his 3 slow weeks too. He eats a little plainer, he does not buy the hides he was going to buy, and he waits. April comes, and the orders come with it the way they always do, and by June he has forgotten February happened. The bad month stayed a bad month because there was no date fastened to it. Take away the payment, and February loses its teeth. I want to be fair about the borrowing because we are not strangers to a bank. Land here is bought with a loan the same as anywhere else, and there are men in this settlement carrying a mortgage on a farm this very morning. I read once about a banker who has lent to our people for years, and he said that in 20 years he had never lost money on an Amish loan, and could count on one hand the times a man came asking for more time. I give you that as one man's word and nothing more, a story in a newspaper, not a study. But it tells you what a loan means around here. It is a rare and serious and long thing, and it is for ground. It is not the ordinary way a shop comes into the world. The second part is that the shop opens inside something that is already standing and already paid for. The building is the shed that was always there. Mine was put up for tobacco before I was born, and it has had 3 different trades working in it since. The counter is a table at the end of the lane, not a rented storefront on a street where the rent comes due whether the door opened or not. The one minding that table is my daughter, and she is not a wage. And nobody hauls anything to any market because the buyer drives up the lane himself and puts it in his own trunk. That last one is bigger than it sounds. A man who sells at a market pays for the stall, pays for the fuel, and pays for the whole day he spends standing behind a table instead of working, and he pays all 3, whether the day turns out good or bad. Our table sits at the end of the lane and costs nothing at all to open in the morning. If nobody comes, then nobody came, and the girl minding it was going to be in the garden anyway. So walk down the list of what the English fellow spends $30,000 on before he has sold his first thing. No rent on the building, no wage for the girl at the counter, no interest on any of it. Every one of those we already had, and every one of them was paid for a long while ago. That is a good deal of what is behind so many of our families moving out of farming and into shops and trades over my lifetime, and it has less to do with romance than with arithmetic. A shop costs less to start than a dairy does. A herd, a milking parlor, a bulk tank, and the ground underneath the whole of it have to be bought before one drop of milk is ever sold. Ground in this county got dear enough that a man with 6 sons could not put all 6 of them on farms, and so 5 of them learned a trade, and the trade went up in a building that was already on the place. Now I will tell you plainly what I cannot tell you. There is no figure anywhere for what it costs one of us to open a shop. Nobody has ever counted it, and I am not going to invent a number to make my point sound better than it is. If you hear a man tell you the Amish start a business for $100, he is guessing and dressing the guess up. What I can give you is the shape of it, and the shape is this. The list of things we do not pay for is a great deal longer than the list of things we do. The third part is that the money was set aside long before there was ever a shop to spend it on. It has been reported that the average man in this country puts by about a nickel out of every dollar he earns, and that among our people it runs nearer 20 cents. I want to be honest about that pair of numbers as well. I have never seen the counting behind them published anywhere I could go and read it, so take them as reported and not as gospel. But the practice underneath them I can vouch for myself, because it happened to me and it happened to every one of my sons. A boy here lives at home until he marries. He works in a shop, on a construction crew, at the sawmill, and he hands a good share of what he earns to his family, and that is neither resented nor unusual nor thought about much at all. His father sets a portion of it aside, and when the boy turns 21, or when he marries, that portion comes back to him. Think for a minute about what that does. The young man who opens a shop at 24 does not open it on borrowed money. He opens it on money with his own name on it and no appointment attached to it. And money with no appointment attached buys him the one thing the other fellow cannot buy at any price, which is that he can wait. He can turn down the order that pays badly. He can spend 2 weeks on a piece of work that ought to take one, because the work will be better for it, and nothing is due on Friday. He can be slow in his first year, and every honest trade is slow in its first year. The fellow carrying the payment cannot afford a slow first year, and the first year is the 1 year he is guaranteed to have. There is one more piece that does not fit neatly into 3, so I will set it alongside them. Around here, a man's name is the collateral. If somebody in this settlement builds a poor cabinet or takes money for a job he does not finish, that is known inside of a week, and it is known at church, and it will follow him for 30 years. Nobody has to sue anybody. There is no written contract behind most of what happens on this road. There is a handshake, and the handshake holds because the alternative is a life you could not live here. That does 2 things at once. It keeps the work honest with nobody policing it, and it makes credit unnecessary between neighbors, because a man will wait on his money from someone whose name he can hold. So here is the cost of it, which I promised you, and it is heavier than the folks who admire us from a distance tend to imagine. First, a shop built this way grows slowly because it can only ever grow on what it has already earned. If the machine that would double my neighbor's output costs him 4 years of putting money by, then he waits 4 years, and in those 4 years, an English shop with a line of credit can go straight past him and never look back. Second, it does not scale, and it is not meant to. It stays on the 1 yard. It employs the family and perhaps 2 hired men from down the road, and that is the ceiling, and none of us are trying to get over it. Third, it leans on a community that knows your name, and that is the part I told you could not be had at any price. A man who moves to a town where nobody ever heard of his father cannot borrow that from us. It takes 20 years to build and it is not for sale. And fourth, the whole family works, children included. My grandchildren are in that shop after school, sweeping and stacking, and by 12 or 13, they are doing real work with real tools. In the English world, that is neither lawful nor wanted, and I understand precisely why your law is what it is. I am not asking you to admire that part of it. I am telling you it sits in the price, because if I leave it out, I have sold you a picture instead of a shop, and I will give the hard work answer its proper place before somebody accuses me of throwing it out. The man who wrote that book listed 5 things he found in the shops that thrive, never asking a man to do what you would not do yourself, caring more about the relationship than about the one sale, a hard work ethic, a willingness to step outside where you are comfortable, and making the thing carefully. Every one of those is true, and every one of them matters, and a shop without them will not last however it is financed. They are simply second. They are what a man does after he has arranged matters so that a slow month cannot kill him. Put them first, and what you get is a fine craftsman standing outside a padlocked door. I should also say plainly that I am telling you about my settlement and not about every Amish person alive. We are not all one thing. Plenty of our men work for English employers on construction crews and take a paycheck on Friday like anybody else. Some farms here carry a mortgage, as I said. There are settlements in Ohio and Indiana that do a number of these things differently than we do them. When I say we, I mean this road. Step back from all of it, and here is what you are looking at. Our shops do not last because we are cleverer than you, and they do not last because we are better than you. They last because there is nothing in them to lose except our own money. Debt is the thing that turns a bad month into the end of a business. Everything else, the craft, the honesty, the hours, the name on the handshake, is what a man does after he has made certain that a bad month cannot kill him. That is not immoral, it is arithmetic, and arithmetic works the same for anybody who picks it up. Now, I promised you something you could take home, and I want to be careful about how I hand it over. I am not telling you what to do about a bank. I do not know your circumstances, and a man who hands out that kind of advice from a distance is doing you no favors. What I am asking is that you go and look at 4 things this week, and looking costs you nothing. First, find the number that would come due next month if you sold nothing whatever: the payment, the lease, the wages, the insurance, the little subscription that renews itself while you are asleep. Add the whole of it up and write it on a piece of paper. That paper is your actual risk, and most folks have never once seen it written down in one place. Second, walk your own property and make a list of what is already standing on it and already paid for: the garage, the shed, the truck, the table, the tools. Third, take the thing you are going to rent or buy or borrow money for, and ask honestly what it would take to do without it for the first year. And fourth, if you know a man whose business closed, ask him what actually closed it. I will wager you a good deal that his answer has a date in it and not a customer. And here is the sentence I have been saving, which is the whole of what travels out of here without you being one of us. Start with what is already standing in your yard and let the first sale come before the first debt. That is not me telling you your business. That is only me telling you ours. Now do something for me down in the comments, because I read them, and my grandson reads out the ones I miss. If you have run a business that closed, or your father did, or you watched one close from across the street, tell me what actually ended it. Was it the work, or was it the 15th? And put the state you live in beside your answer, because I have a notion it changes depending on what rent does where you are. One more thing before I go, about that table at the end of my lane. There are things on that table I am allowed to sell you, and things on it that it is against the law for me to sell you, and the line between them is not where any sensible person would think to draw it. A jar of Esther's pickles and a jar of her green beans sit side by side on the same board, put up in the same kitchen on the same afternoon by the same hands, and one can be sold to a stranger and the other cannot. Next time, I will take you out to that table and show you exactly where that line runs and why it is drawn where it is. Whatever it is you build, build it so that a slow February is only a slow February. That is all I have got for you today. I will see you next time.